You know that feeling when you warn your friends about a disaster you can practically smell coming and they all look at you like you just announced you're joining a cult? Welcome to the INFJ Cassandra Complex, where your brain might as well have Netflix spoilers for reality, but somehow you're the only one in the group chat who got the memo. Yeah, you predict the future, but apparently nobody cares. Or worse, they think you're being dramatic. Spoiler, you're not. In fact, you're the one who probably has to watch everyone run into the wall you told them about repeatedly. But hey, at least you'll never run out of "I told you so" moments, even if you're the only one hearing them. If you relate, hit like, subscribe, and share your best "I told you so" story in the comments. Let's see who's really listening. Let's dive right in. First off, the haunting accuracy of INFJ predictions. You don't need a crystal ball, a deck of tarot cards, or even a slightly suspicious tea leaf to see the future, because as an INFJ, your brain is running its own secret simulation of reality 24/7. You pick up on things most people miss, like the slight shift in someone's tone, the way a friend's story doesn't quite add up, or how your boss starts sending "per my last email" messages right before the company suddenly decides it's restructuring. For you, it's not just a gut feeling. It's a built-in radar for drama, disaster, and the kind of plot twists that would make even Netflix jealous. You notice patterns where others just see random events. While everyone else is busy scrolling, you're quietly connecting dots and predicting outcomes with such chilling accuracy that you've probably scared yourself a few times. You can sense when a relationship is about to crash and burn before anyone else even spots a red flag. You've warned your friends, hey, maybe don't date that guy who still lives in his mom's basement and collects expired coupons, only to be proven right when he ghosts after borrowing her car and forgetting to return it. The real kicker, when you lay it all out for people, explaining why something is heading for a spectacular explosion, they usually just laugh, roll their eyes, or accuse you of being dramatic. It's like you're handing out free umbrellas right before a storm, and everyone insists it's just a little cloudy. Sometimes you wonder if you should just start writing your predictions in a journal and wait for the world to catch up. Or maybe start a disaster bingo card just to keep things interesting. Psychologically, you're playing chess while everyone else is still figuring out checkers. Your intuition is data-driven, powered by every micro-expression, every odd silence, every little detail no one else bothers to notice. And yet, people act like you're making wild guesses or just being negative. The reality? You've seen enough human behavior patterns to know when a story is about to go sideways. If only people realize that your predictions aren't just warnings, they're practically spoiler alerts for real life. But hey, if nobody wants to believe you, at least you'll never be bored. There's always another plot twist coming. Another moment where you quietly sigh, brace yourself, and think, here we go again. And next up, the too sensitive label, how their warnings get dismissed. You know the drill. You sense something's off, you speak up, and suddenly you're the too sensitive one. It's like you could deliver a weather report before a hurricane and everyone would still tell you to relax, maybe try yoga, and stop overreacting. For an INFJ, this is the soundtrack of your life. You warn people with the best of intentions, and they treat you like you just burst into tears at a deodorant commercial. Funny how too sensitive is always their favorite label when they don't want to face reality. You see the tension, the patterns, the warning signs, but they just see someone who feels too much. In reality, you're picking up on a symphony of subtle signals that everyone else seems determined to ignore. If emotional intelligence was a superpower, you'd be saving cities by now. But instead, you're left reading people's moods like you're deciphering ancient hieroglyphics, while they're convinced you're just daydreaming. There's a certain irony in being gaslit by people you're trying to help. You spot the iceberg, you mention it, and everyone on the Titanic insists you're just imagining things. It's almost comedic if it weren't so frustrating. People would rather believe in happy coincidences than uncomfortable truths, so your intuition gets stamped as drama and your insight gets filed under emotional overreaction. And just to add a little spice, they'll remind you how you always worry too much, right up until the very moment your prediction walks in the door with a suitcase and an "I told you so" written all over its face. Sometimes, you wonder if you should tone it down, or just let people figure things out on their own. But you can't help it. It's hardwired into you. And let's be honest, the world needs a few more people who care enough to see what others ignore, even if it means getting stuck with a too sensitive label for the 100th time this week. Thirdly, emotional exhaustion from being ignored. There's a special kind of tired that comes from being ignored, one that goes way deeper than just needing a nap or another coffee. As an INFJ, you put your heart and soul into warning people, trying to save them from avoidable mistakes, and what do you get in return? A polite nod, a distracted thanks, and the unmistakable feeling that your insight just bounced off an invisible wall. It's exhausting in a way most people will never understand. It's like emotional deja vu. Every time you put yourself out there and nobody listens, you lose a little more energy. You start second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're the problem, or if maybe your gift is just an overactive imagination. Eventually, you notice you're carrying the weight of other people's problems on your shoulders, all while they skip off blissfully unaware of the storm clouds you tried to warn them about. It's not just about being right or wrong. It's about carrying this relentless urge to help, knowing you'll likely be brushed aside anyway. You spend hours replaying conversations in your head, thinking about how you could have phrased things differently, or whether you should have just kept quiet. And let's be honest, sometimes you do try to stop caring, just to protect yourself. But your empathy keeps sneaking back in, like an app you can't uninstall. If only there was a loyalty card for every time you save someone from themselves. 10 ignored warnings gets you a free spot A. Instead, you get emotional fatigue, an invisible badge of honor, and a growing sense of isolation. The world keeps spinning, people keep ignoring, and you keep feeling the fallout. Because you can't turn off caring, even when it drains you. At the end of the day, you're left running an emotional marathon, and most people have no idea just how far you've gone. Fourthly, the secret rage when no one listens. Let's be honest, there's a quiet storm that builds inside you every time your warnings go ignored. It starts as frustration, the kind that makes you want to shake people and shout, "Why won't you just listen for once?" But over time, that frustration settles into something heavier. A secret rage that you keep tucked away like an old souvenir from a trip you never wanted to take. You're not mad at people for being human, but you do start to wonder how many disasters could be avoided if anyone just took your advice. It's the INFJ paradox. You don't actually want to see bad things happen, but after the 100th ignored warning, you'd be lying if you said you didn't feel a little vindicated when events unfold exactly as you predicted. Suddenly, you're watching people trip over the very obstacle you practically put a neon sign on, and a tiny rebellious part of you thinks, well, maybe next time they'll listen. Spoiler alert, they usually don't. The secret rage isn't about wanting to be right. It's about the loneliness that comes from being unheard. You end up withdrawing a bit, holding your insight closer, and letting people figure things out the hard way. Sometimes it even turns into a silent game. How many ignored predictions will it take before someone finally asks for your advice? Maybe you start keeping score. Maybe you fantasize about printing out your predictions and taping them to the fridge for future reference. At least the fridge would pay attention. In the end, you're left balancing that internal fire. You still care, deeply, but you get smarter about where you put your energy. Secretly, you hope for the day when someone actually says, "You know what? I should have listened to you." Until then, You ride out the storm with your trademark INFJ patience, a sense of humor about the chaos, and the occasional eye roll that could power a small city. Fifthly, when being right feels like a curse. You'd think being right would feel amazing. You'd think there'd be confetti, or at least a "Congratulations, you were right. Again" text message. But for you, as an INFJ, being right so often feels like standing alone in the middle of a movie set after everyone else has left the theater. Sure, you called every twist, you saw every train wreck before it happened, but all you get is the echo of your own warning bouncing off empty walls. There's something bittersweet about seeing your predictions come true when nobody wanted to believe you. It's like winning a game nobody else knew they were playing. The prize? A front row seat to the consequences you tried so hard to prevent. And the sinking feeling that, if anything, being right just made you lonelier. There's no parade for the Cassandra, just the quiet satisfaction of accuracy. And sometimes, not even that. What nobody tells you is that this curse sneaks into your self-image. You start dreading your own intuition, hoping this time you'll be wrong, just so you can feel surprised for once or actually enjoy the moment with everyone else. But when you're not wrong, when the dust settles and the pattern repeats, it's like life keeps asking, was it worth it? And all you can do is shrug and wish you had a little button to turn off your foresight just for a day. Still, you carry on, hoping that one day, being right will mean more than just being alone with your thoughts. Until then, you learn to smile, keep your insights to yourself, and try to enjoy the show, even if you already know the ending. Sixthly, the "I told you so." No one wants to hear. You know that feeling when everything you predicted comes true and you're just standing there, holding all the receipts? As an INFJ, it's practically a rite of passage. You've got the texts, the emails, the "Are you sure about this?" conversations, all neatly cataloged in your mental filing cabinet. But when reality finally catches up with your warnings, does anyone turn to you and say, "Wow, you were right. Thanks for the heads up"? Of course not. That would be too easy. Instead, it's like everyone collectively decides to develop selective amnesia. Suddenly, your prophecy is old news, and you're left out of the conversation entirely. Sometimes people will even act as if they saw it coming all along, rewriting history so fast it'd make a time traveler dizzy. And if you ever dare utter those three little words, "I told you so," you're instantly painted as smug, negative, or just annoying. So you hold it in. You keep your "I told you so" moment to yourself. Maybe share it with your journal, or your dog, or the plant in the corner that's heard it all before. Deep down, you know it's not about being right for the sake of ego. It's about wishing someone had listened, not for the credit, but because you genuinely wanted to help. Still, a tiny part of you can't help but wish for a little recognition, just once. But hey, if no one's going to hand out trophies for accuracy, at least you can count on your own sense of humor to keep things interesting. The next time your prediction walks in like an uninvited guest, you'll be ready. Maybe with a smile, maybe with an eye roll, but definitely with a mental scoreboard that only you can see. Seventhly, the lonely road of the Cassandra Complex. After a while, the constant cycle of warning people and being ignored starts to wear you down in ways you never expected. You find yourself withdrawing a little more with each prediction that falls on deaf ears. Conversations become filtered, your insights edited down to the bare minimum, and sometimes you just give up halfway through your warning because you already know where it's headed. You start wondering if your energy might be better spent talking to to your plans. They seem to appreciate the attention, and at least they don't argue back. Friendships get tricky. You want to be supportive, but you can't help feeling like the designated party pooper, always the one pointing out the cliff everyone's speeding toward. You see people making the same mistakes on repeat, and after a while, you stop offering advice unless someone specifically asks. Even then, you're careful. One too many ignored warnings can turn even the most compassionate INFJ into a part-time hermit. The loneliness is real. It's not just about being ignored. It's about being the only one carrying the burden of foresight. You start to feel like the lone ticket holder to a movie no one else wants to see, forced to watch the same plot twist play out over and over. The world gets quieter, your circle gets smaller, and your trust in sharing your insights takes a few hits. But despite it all, you still care. Even when you feel invisible, your empathy doesn't just turn off. You might go silent for a while, or find solace in journaling, creative projects, or other INFJs who truly get it. The road can be lonely, but you keep walking it because deep down, you know it's better to see the storm coming, even if you're the only one with an umbrella. Eighthly, why INFJs stop warning people and what happens next. Eventually, you reach a crossroads where you just stop warning people altogether, not out of bitterness, but as an act of self-preservation. You realize your emotional energy isn't an unlimited resource. And handing out predictions to people who never listen is like shouting life advice at a brick wall. It only gives you a sore throat. So you pull back. You let others live their own plot twists and learn their own lessons. No matter how much you want to save them the drama. It's a strange relief, honestly. There's freedom in deciding you don't have to be the unpaid psychic for your friends and family. You start choosing your battles, maybe saving your warnings for the rare person who actually values your insight. And for everyone else, you learn to nod, smile, and watch the show unfold. If nothing else, it gives you great material for your private memoir. Tentatively titled, "I Could Have Told You That." But here's the funny twist. Sometimes, when you finally stop warning people, that's exactly when they start coming to you for advice. Suddenly, your intuition is in demand, as if everyone's collectively realized they might need a spoiler or two. The power shift can feel a little strange. Now you're the one deciding who gets the benefit of your foresight and who gets to learn the hard way. It doesn't erase the loneliness, but it does make you more discerning. You protect your energy. You understand that some people only learn from experience and you don't take it personally anymore. Instead, you save your empathy for those who've earned it, and you find a new peace in letting go. The world keeps spinning. The stories keep unfolding. And you finally get to sit back, sip your metaphorical tea, and watch it all play out with your sanity intact. Last but not least, embracing the gift and the burden. Here's where the story takes its final twist. One day, you stop seeing your intuition as just a curse and start realizing it's actually a gift, albeit one wrapped in barbed wire and delivered with a wink from the universe. You accept that your Cassandra Complex is both your superpower and your challenge. Not everyone is supposed to get it, and honestly, not everyone deserves the sneak previews you can offer. You start trusting yourself more, even if the world keeps ignoring your internal weather forecasts. You find your people, the ones who actually value your insight, who ask for your opinion before the storm hits, and who sometimes even listen. You learn to share your foresight selectively, recognizing that not every situation is worth your emotional investment. You finally understand that your intuition is for you first, and anyone else who benefits is just a bonus. Owning this duality lets you find a strange sense of peace. You're no longer trying to save everyone from themselves, and you're no longer haunted by the weight of being right. Instead, you start to notice the upside. You dodge more disasters, you navigate life's twists with a little more grace, and sometimes you help someone else do the same. And if you ever do decide to monetize your superpower, just remember to put no refunds in the fine print. Because deep down, you know you're going to be right, whether anyone believes you or not. In the end, you're not just a lonely fortune teller. You're an INFJ who's finally learned how to live with the gift and the burden of seeing the future before it arrives. If this feels like your life story, drop a comment below. Share the wildest time you predicted something and no one believed you. And if you're not an INFJ, but you know one, maybe, just maybe, it's time to start listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our little community of future predictors. Because if anyone's going to see the next plot twist coming, it's definitely you. That's it for this video, and I see you in the next one.